That is us, Yonge and Dundas Square, downtown Toronto. Melanie Ng-Sitzik-Saro here with you. Dean is back tomorrow. This is Breakfast Television. We are back with a debate.
Ooh.
This Will Smith story is not stopping anytime soon, and our good friend Tracy Peart disagrees with basically everything I have said on this issue. It is now time for our first ever 1v1, me and P.
Getting jiggy with it.
Okay. I like this opening.
I like it.
Beautiful. Okay. Here's how it goes. On this camera, here's how it goes. Will Smith got slapped with a 10-year ban from the Oscars over the weekend. So the Academy is saying Smith's behavior was, quote, unacceptable and harmful. Smith says he respects that decision. However, this ruling does not prevent him from being nominated in the future. So here's the question we start with. Is 10 years too much? And here's what we're going to do. Trace, and good morning to you, Trace. Nice to see you. And Sid.
Morning.
You'll each get a minute to say your piece, and then we'll do a little debate. Let's begin with Trace. Trace, your minute begins now. 10 years, too much, is it?
No, I think it's too much. I think it's too much, but it was probably some sort of compromise because there was probably people on the Academy who wanted like a lifetime ban. There were probably people who wanted 2 years, so they probably came to this compromise. I think it's a little too long. I probably would have given him something like 2 to 3 years. But at the end of the day, I'm not that overly concerned about it because for every action, there's a reaction, right? So he has to take his punishment. They have to send out a message to people. So I'm not overly mad about it, but I do think it's a little harsh.
A little much. Sid, what's
It's so much.
Yeah, 10. Okay, Sid,
Can I
what
use
say
the
you?
extra time that Tracy didn't?
Oh,
that was
boy.
very, very succinct and to the point.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, I think 10 years is just right. I think this is a. Would you like to retort now?
We'll come back to you, Trace.
It's my minute. Can I get my minute? Here's where I'm coming from. Because if you heard Wanda Sykes after this incident, and you heard Amy Schumer, and you heard Regina Hall, and we still have yet to hear from Chris Rock, he'll get paid eventually, and we'll hear from Chris Rock. This suspension is strictly about people willing and wanting to come to the Academy Awards, okay? Because if I am a presenter, if you are writing jokes for me, which is what happened in this instance, you are not going to make an international mockery of my career. You are not going to have anyone come up on stage who's woke and end what I have worked for. Whether you're a comedian, whether you are an entertainer, presenter, I don't care who you are. This suspension is for one reason and one reason only, to make sure people who accept this invitation going forward feel good, feel comfortable, and feel like they are supported by the Academy, because in that moment, I got to tell you, there's probably a lot of comedians around the world who don't feel like Chris Rock was supported. And we'll hear Chris's side soon. But this is strictly from a production standpoint. The Academy had to do this, in my humble opinion.
Trace, oh, yeah, I see it in your face. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I just think that it's way too much. Like, what about the people who are also sitting in the chairs, right? We're so concerned about, well, the comedians and their careers and comedians who are allowed to just say whatever they want with impunity. And by the way, I thought I heard that he went off script with that joke, that it was not written for him. So that's what I was under that understanding. But what about people who go to sit there and watch the awards? I don't think that they know that jokes will be made, like for choices you make. Like when you do a bad movie or you're like Leonardo DiCaprio, they make fun of who he dates. It's another thing to sit down in a chair, get all dressed up, hoping to watch your husband win an award and have somebody make fun of an illness that you have, right? So I think that for me, we also need to be taking care of the people who go and sit in the audience and making sure we're not being malicious. Comedy, to me, is supposed to bring people together. It's not supposed to tear people apart. I mean, Chris Rock talks about being bullied as a kid, but I think because they have the gift of gab, comedians, so we're supposed to allow them to just say whatever they want to people without impunity. So that means they're allowed to verbally bully people as they get older. I think making fun of somebody's hair loss is too far. It's not the same as, oh, she made a bad movie, let's make fun of her bad movie. And I think that's what's lost in this conversation. I think that all Jada did that night, she did nothing wrong. Chris and Will did something wrong. In my opinion, Chris was wrong. They both are the ones who did something wrong. All she did is get dressed up, go watch her husband win an award, hopefully, because I think that's why they were sitting in front and center, because everybody expected them to win. And she was made fun of on a world stage. And just because she's confident in who she is, I'm confident in who I am. I talk about body positivity, all of that, but that doesn't mean on a world stage that if somebody made fun of my weight, that I wouldn't be hurt. And I think that we need to humanize her and stop judging her and blaming her for Will's actions and the entanglement and all of that stuff. I think that we need to bring alopecia into the conversation and humanize this woman. She did nothing wrong. And I think Chris Rock owes her an apology, because even if he didn't mean it, which he's saying he didn't know about her alopecia, and for all we know, we'll never know if he knew, because he's never going to admit now anyway if he did know, because it makes him look bad. But he should apologize for the fact that he made a mistake, that he hurt her feelings. And if he did apologize privately, he should do publicly.
Okay,
Batter up, Chris.
Oh, okay. So as soon as you mentioned Jada's name, I don't know if you saw this, but Sid went, okay. So now, Sid.
The line, Trace, I love you. The line, Jada did nothing wrong here, I find very interesting.
Go for it, Sid.
He did nothing wrong.
Because the video, well, allow me to make my point. She sat, the video of Will Smith laughing at this joke is out there, okay? We both agree on that, right? He laughed at the joke initially. Now, again, medical conditions should be off limits. I mean, look, he explained a lot that night, with all due respect to Will Smith. But he laughed at I got two eyes, and I saw him laugh at the joke. Then the camera cut away, and we'll never really know what happened there because there's no video of it yet. All I know is the next thing we see is Johnny slaps a lot, walks on stage, and does his thing. Please do not tell me Jada did nothing wrong. Jada gives him the signal, and his career is over.
She's not responsible
His career is over. Trace, she hasn't been relevant in film in 15 years. His career is over because of this. Please don't tell me that she did nothing wrong.
You really think that they planned a slap on live TV? You really believe that she gave him the signal, go up there and hit this man?
She did something we did not see on camera that led him to that point, because a second and a half earlier, he wasn't doing that. That's my only point.
But don't you think? First of all, I think we need to be careful to let a woman take blame for her husband's
100%.
actions,
Medical situation
right?
for sure.
She's not responsible for his actions. But I do think that. Don't you think that he looked over at her, maybe saw she didn't think it was funny, and he immediately we don't know how much she's cried about this. We don't know how much he's comforted her about this. Maybe he saw the pain. Maybe he laughed. He said in his speech, when we're famous, we're told we have to take disrespect. We have to laugh. He explained the laughter. A lot of times, too, when you're in that situation, you just laugh because you don't know what else to do, right? But maybe he looked at her and he felt bad and he kicked into action. I don't think that she is responsible for her husband getting on a stage and hitting somebody. He is responsible for his own actions. I just want everybody to do to humanize her is stop and think, Melanie, you have a beautiful head of hair. Dina has a beautiful head of hair, right? What if suddenly you guys today were to lose your hair and you had to eventually have to shave it? The turmoil that you go through that. And then you went to a Canadian,
100%.
you went to an award show. You got all dressed up, Tina, Mel. You got all dressed up. You had a shaved head. You were there for an award show. Someone made fun of your shaved head. Would Sid and everybody at BT tell you that you should have just taken it? It was just a joke. They wouldn't. They would humanize.
We just don't know if Chris Rock knew. We just don't know if Chris Rock knew.
I think what we don't know is a lot. There's a lot behind the scenes. As mentioned, you both bring up some amazing points. I think this is just round one of many to come. What did you call it, Sid? What'd you say? It was called
Me versus P.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what I called it.
Maybe work on that. Work on that. Tracy Peart.
I'll come up with a better.
It's not weird.
We'll workshop it, Trace.
Fine.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah.
We gotta go. Trace, love you.
Trace.
Love you, Trace. And you know what? Dina missed a good one. She missed a good one.
There'll be more to come.
Will
more
be
to
more.
come. All right.
There'll be more.
Okay.
We're going to take a
round
break.
one.
Tiger Woods was back over the weekend. What's the great comeback story for you of all time?